Hello guys, my name is Carlos Bedoya and I'm going to be talking today about a coordination exercise for the right and the left hand, which is also a great warm-up exercise. Even though it's a very simple exercise, I would like to give credit to Rene Izquierdo, who is the pedagogue that I learned it from. So this exercise consists of a couple of finger sequences, and you're going to see numbers on the screen and they're going to be referring to the left hand fingers. Just a quick reminder, we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you see a 0, it means that it is an open string. So we're going to start with the first string, which is the one closest to the floor. And the first sequence is going to be 0, 1. So we're going to pick a random fret, let's say fret number 4. And we're going to play first 0. And then we're going to press the 4th fret with the first finger. That's the sequence. And then we're going to go to the second string. And so on. Then 4th string. I'm not going to repeat the 6th string, I'm going to go to the 5th string. Then 4th. The way this works is that I like to do it in a way that I increase the speed gradually, so that at the same time while I'm working on my technique, I'm also warming up. So it is very important to start slow at a speed that you can control and then gradually increase your speed. Let's go to a different fret. We'll do the same sequence. Let's say 0, 6, open string, and then 6th fret. Increase the speed gradually. Without losing control of the technique. I noticed that I start losing control and I start getting tense, so I'm gonna stop right there so that I ensure that I stay relaxed and I don't injure myself, since this is usually like the first thing I do when I touch the guitar. Next exercise, 0, 2. Let's go to a random fret. Let's say this time fret number 7. So we're going to utilize the second finger, starting first with an open string. So 0, 2, second string. Deep breaths. Taking deep breaths is going to ensure that your body relaxes and also allows you to think about different things. Being a musician requires you to think about so many things. So ensuring that you're conserving your breath and then having a natural flow of in and out is going to ensure that you're able to do it on the stage too, with more complex sequences, of course. Let's keep increasing the speed. Great, let's go to the next sequence. Let's go now to 0, 3. So 3rd finger, open string, then 3rd finger. In the interest of consistency, how about we just stay on the 5th fret? It doesn't have to be on the 5th fret, 5th position. It doesn't have to be on the 5th position, but I'm going to stay there so that everything stays consistent. So now I'm going to go to the 7th fret. Ensure that I'm being very accurate in the placement of my left hand finger, so there are no buzzes and the note sounds clean. relax for a moment, my right foot was starting to creep up. So I like to pay attention to those things. Let's try it again. I'm losing control. So right now I don't have a lot of control, so I'm going to keep it there. Remember that gradually you will increase the speed, and eventually you're going to see the progress little by little. Let's go to the next sequence, which is 0-4. So now with pinky, which is our weakest finger. So we need to pay close attention to make sure that it behaves. So keeping the consistency that I mentioned in the, previously, we're going to stay in 5th position. So our pinky is going to play on the 8th fret. And one other thing that I'm going to focus on is I'm going to pay attention to the fingers that are not active. In this case, the 3rd, the 2nd, and the 1st finger, index, middle, and ring. And I'm going to make sure that they remain relaxed because they're not being active. Sometimes we forget that we are harvesting tension in them. So it is important to pay attention to them. All right, so let's keep going. So those fingers should not be extended like this and curved either. So they should be more or less in a natural curvature. Relax. Control right there, but of course if you can go faster, I encourage you to do it. You don't have to keep up with my speed. You can also go faster or stop whenever you feel like you cannot go any faster. It is essential to be able to remain relaxed and in control of all your movements. So these are all the sequences that incorporate an open string. Now we're going to go into 6 sequences that incorporate 2 fingers. So the first one is 1 and 2. As always, in the sake of consistency, we're going to remain in 5th position. So our first finger will play the 5th fret and our second finger will play the 6th one. Warm-up exercise. One thing I'm focusing on right now is the accuracy also of my placement of my right hand fingers. This has to do, of course, with preparation and trying to make sure that you're always touching the string in the same place on the right moment with the finger. So I'm trying to focus on that to make sure that I start with flash to avoid the click. Although it happens very often, I still try to work on it every now and then. Remember to breathe deep. Also paying attention to my pinky on my left hand. It kind of wants to tense up. Good. Now next sequence is 2, 3. So these are adjacent fingers. Now fingers 2 and 3, we're going to be playing on frets 2 and 3. Remember, this can be done on any fret. The idea is just to start coordinating the right hand movements with the left hand movements. So let's go with sequence 2 and 3. Slowly. Relax your shoulders, relax your back. And it's also great to have a good amount of flexibility in your sitting bones so that you're not static and you're flexible and fluid. Too tense right there, so I'm going to stop. Little by little you'll push those limits and try to remain relaxed. Next sequence is fingers 3 and 4. So now we'll go to frets 7th and 8th. How about, for the sake of keeping it interesting, now I'm going to be playing with fingers M and A on the right hand. What is interesting is that even though I am playing at a lower speed, because I'm not so used to alternating between middle and ring finger, my body gets more tense a lot sooner than when I play with index and middle. So those are the kinds of things that we need to become aware of our own bodies in order to learn more about our own technique and eventually improve it, of course. I'm gonna do that one a little bit more. Keep my body fluid and relaxed. Is a little bit tense. I started losing control, but it is a great exercise, and I know that eventually I'll improve in terms of speed and relaxation. By the way, I'm doing them much shorter right now in the interest of time, but I would do them enough until you feel like, oh yeah, I feel like those fingers and those coordination sequences are already warmed up. So now next one, we're gonna go to non-adjacent fingers. So now we're gonna go to finger 1 and 3. So 5th fret and 7th fret. We're gonna leave one fret in between because that fret would the fret will be played by the second finger. So the sequence is 1 and 3, so we're gonna play frets 5 and 7. I'm going to return to index and middle on the right hand. One little thing I'm also thinking about right now is the idea of not squeezing with my left hand so much, but rather kind of like pulling back onto the instrument so that the energy usage is more efficient, and therefore I get less tired, and of course I can use that efficiency later on for speed development and clarity, and of course easiness of playing. So I'm gonna focus on that idea. I'm gonna keep going with that. Please make sure that you start slowly and then increase the speed gradually. I realized that I kind of started that one too fast, so I apologize for that one. Now let's go to the next sequence, which is fingers 2 and 4. So frets 6 and 8, starting with the first string all the way up to the 6th one without repeating fingers. We keep going up and down the fretboard. Build the speed gradually. You may need to stretch on the left hand. Still try to remain relaxed. Increase the speed gradually and remain relaxed. I started losing control. Last one is 1 and 4. So first finger and pinky, the fourth finger. So frets 5 and 8. On the right hand, I like to anchor my thumb to give stability to my hand. Right now I'm anchoring it on the 6th string. Some people like to walk the thumb with the fingers. That depends on the size of your hand, of course, and how much tension your hand can take as you string cross. Later on, I'm going to make a video about string crossing and all those little details. Alright, great. So by the time you're done with these sequences, which is I think around 10, you should feel pretty warmed up, and at the same time, for each sequence you might want to focus on a different aspect of your technique to improve. I personally spoke about a couple of them, but sometimes I work on several at once. It depends on what you want to work on at the moment. So now let's talk about some ways to change these exercises to make it a little bit more interesting, and to also try to approach different aspects of your technique. So the first thing to keep in mind is that the right hand fingerings can change. If you are a complete beginner, I would recommend studying the prepared positions that I mentioned in a previous video, and you might want to make sure that that hand stays steady. So let's take, for instance, sequence 1 and 2, and the way this would work is that if you're in prepared position number 1, your ring finger is playing the first string, your middle finger is playing the second string, your index is playing the third, and your thumb is playing 4, 5, and 6. So it will look something like this. So you repeat M, M, I, P, 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 I, M, M. You might wonder, why would you want to practice that? So, because you're repeating fingers. You will want to practice that because you will be training your hand to stay steady in a prepared position, and you'll also be practicing the ability of the fingers to prepare faster, which is going to translate into speed later on, and of course easiness of playing. So that's one way. Another way you can practice is by alternating fingers, different fingers. I briefly mentioned it. I majorly did index and middle, but you can also do middle index, so backwards, which messes me up. I can tell that I haven't practiced that in a long time. You can also do I, A, M, A, M. You can even do I, C for the pinky, and so on, or C, A. The possibilities are a lot. You can also do with the thumb, thumb I, thumb M, and so on. So make sure that you also alternate the uses of the right hand fingers, the alternation. Another way you can practice is, of course, rest stroke. So do the same exercises now, but rest stroke. Ooh, I need to practice that one much more. The good thing about it is that you are trying to find out how your fingers behave with as many combinations of fingers as possible. So for instance, in that little instance, I just realized that my middle finger is catching on the 5th string. So that reveals an aspect of my technique and my nail shape that I might need to adjust for the day. And all of these things are helpful because the more you know these things, the more you get to know your fingers, and the less you have to battle at the moment when you play difficult repertoire. Another variation you can do is change frets. So for instance, we'll take the sequence 1 and 2 again. We can start on the 1st fret, and then when we go to the 5th, let's say, actually let's start on the 1st string, and then when we are gonna go to the 2nd string, we're gonna skip a fret. So now it will be frets 2 and 3, then 3, 4. So kind of like walking, and that will be also training the ability to transfer your hand into a different fret, and so on. So you can also do that, or you can also do it on the same string. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And then backwards, of course. Which leads me to the last variation. All of these sequences that I gave you, 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 4, 1, 2, 1, 3, etc., they can also be done backwards. So for instance, 0, 1 can become now 1, 0. And then 2, 0. 3, 0, etc., 2, 1. And so on. The description in this video, you'll find the 10 sequences so that you can see them written down and you won't get confused. So again, this was a coordination exercise that I love to use as a technique development exercise as well as a warm-up exercise. I hope you liked it. If you have any comments or questions or suggestions for other videos, please leave it in the comment section below. Again, my name is Carlos Bedoya and I'm very happy that you're here. Please look forward to the next couple of videos that I'll be releasing. See you soon.